and welcome to Lesson 2 of the Jungle Book case study for OCR A-Level Media. Today we're going to look at the film industry, but we'll start first of all with a bit of a retrieval task. So I'd like you in a moment to pause the video and to write down, in order, the 4 stages of the film chain. Okay, so just to check your answers. Stage 1, production. That was the making of the film. Stage 2 was distribution, sharing the film. Stage 3 was marketing, promoting the film. And stage 4 was exhibition, showing the film to an audience. At the end of last session, I also asked you to undertake a short piece of independent research, looking at the film chain for a film of your choice. And thank you to everyone who sent work through to me. I also undertook a piece of independent research, as I said I would. I looked at the Oscar-winning movie Parasite, and you can see here, just through 30 minutes of research, I've managed to find out quite a lot of facts about the movie at all stages of the film chain. Okay, so for today's lesson, we're looking at ownership and control in the film industry. Really, we're going to be interested in building your knowledge of media terminology, so specifically looking at the 5 key terms listed below. Media terminology is something that, as a new student, you're going to need to get to grips with quite quickly. There's a vast amount of terminology for the study of the subject, but also as an existing student, it's a really important area to continue revising and revisiting often. And we know that the higher level responses will feature a much higher range of media terminology used precisely and accurately. Okay, so let's make a start. We're going to be looking at media industries here, and this is one of the 4 key areas of the media theoretical framework. Media industry, then, we're looking at the different organisations who are already well established, and they're able to produce and create their own media products. They might own different platforms and different brands. You might hear these referred to as media institutions. Okay, so film production companies like Disney, broadcasting companies like the BBC. And media institutions often really expand and develop over time. They might acquire similar or smaller organisations and brands, and they may, over time, also increase their power and their profitability. Just some examples here. You're going to be, as a consumer yourself, well aware of some of those large media institutions, covering lots of different industries. The industries, we're talking about things like film, television, radio, gaming, for example. Okay, let's have a look at our first piece of terminology for today. So we're talking here about the film industry, and the first word we're going to learn is that of monopoly. Okay, I use the icon here of the Monopoly game board as a good way to remember. But what I'd like you to do in a moment is to pause the video, to copy the definition, and then to have a go at the task. So the definition here is monopoly, meaning the exclusive ownership or control over something. We could argue that for years Netflix maybe has had a monopoly over the video on demand streaming industry. They were able to produce more content than any other competitor and owned at one point over half of the market share. And you have a task here to decide which of these search engines you think is most likely to be described as having monopoly, so being described as having exclusive ownership or control. Okay, if you want to pause the video now to complete those tasks. Okay, so looking at the task here then, you were asked to look at one of the 3 search engines. Okay, it would be correct if you chose C here. The answer is Google. And I think it would be fair to argue that Google perhaps at points has had monopoly over that area of the digital industries. We know that they have their apps pre-installed on lots of devices, and this can actually make it very difficult for any of the other search engines to compete with them. Okay, the second term that we're interested in, so we'll follow the same process in a few minutes. Just pause the video and write down the definition and complete the task. So this word is particularly useful for understanding Disney and the film industry, and the word is conglomerate. A conglomerate is a large corporation that consists of smaller companies, and we refer to these smaller companies as subsidiaries. An example here might be Amazon. Amazon can be seen as a conglomerate. It owns several companies in different industries, such as that of the retail industry, in publishing, and in media also. Looking at the task, you're asked to say which of these is most likely to be described as a conglomerate. So maybe I'm asking you to think about your wider media knowledge a bit here. Your choices are A, Twitter, B, Facebook, or C, Twitch. Okay, so let's just have a look at that task. Which of these is most likely to be described as a conglomerate? Well, the answer here would be B, Facebook. Facebook is, as Zuckerberg himself calls it, a family of apps. It owns lots of other products, including Instagram, WhatsApp, and Messenger. Twitch, interestingly, is owned by another conglomerate, Amazon, and Twitter is also not a standalone company, but is a subsidiary of a larger conglomerate. Okay, let's apply this to the film industry. So the film industry and the films that we see in the box office have for many years been dominated by some major Hollywood studios. They're often referred to as the Big Five, or the majors. And we can see them listed below, Disney being at the top of that list, followed by Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal, and Paramount. It used to be the Big Six Hollywood studios, but Disney now have the rights to and own much of the assets of 20th Century Fox, and so far and therefore have reduced the competition and increased their dominance in this area. Okay, a good way of looking at this then, and I like this analogy, is the concept of some of these big conglomerates, such as Disney, as Pac-Man, as going around and eating up the smaller companies and the competition. So we can see here that Disney, or the Walt Disney Company, under that large umbrella company, we have the smaller studios. So they acquired the rights to Marvel in 2009, eating up then further competition of Lucasfilm in 2012, and most recently in 2019, taking most of the assets of 20th Century Fox also. So this is a good way to look at our Jungle Book case study, thinking about the Walt Disney Company as an extremely large conglomerate, as a company who does have monopoly within the film industry, and who has, over time, been acquiring the rights to lots of other smaller subsidiaries, reducing competition, increasing its power, and in turn increasing its profit. If you're interested in finding out more about this, there are 2 links at the bottom of the screen here. The first one takes you to an article that uses that great Pac-Man analogy, and the second is a rather large infographic, and this gives you an indication of just how much Disney as a conglomerate owns. There may be lots of things on there that you'll be quite surprised by when you click on it, and it's just far too big to include in one video, but I would recommend that you do take a look at that for your further knowledge and wider reading. Okay, a short task here. I'd like you to pause and then to write 2 to 3 sentences about Disney's place in the film industry. You might want to use your notebook so far. Go back if you need to in the video. And I'd like you to apply the terms monopoly, film industry, Hollywood studio, and conglomerate. If you want to pause the video now.